Big namaste, vanakkam to all of you. I see so many of my classmates, but more so I see so many of my seniors. So I feel like I'm a first year student walking into the gates of MMC. I'm a bit nervous. Excuse me. Anyway, I owe my thanks to Dr. Badrinath, who was organizing this and has invited me to talk about hospice to all of you. It's a great privilege and an honor, and I am very thankful to him. My credentials for talking here today is because I am an MMCN. I belong to the 1968-74 batch undergraduate. And more importantly, I spent a substantial number of years working as assistant professor of surgery in Madras Medical College. So my bondage with MMC is pretty high. Dr. Badrinath wanted me to talk about what, why, when, and how of Jivodaya Hospice. And if I have to do justice to that, I need you to walk with me backwards at least 30 years. There's a famous saying, what is now considered to be the past was a future once upon a time. So I'm asking you to travel back in time with me to go back to mid-80s or mid and late 80s. So at that time, as I was, you were told, I was working in the Tamil Nadu Medical Services and I was posted in Roypeta Cancer Surgery Department, one of the big hospitals where even at that time, all the three subspecialties of oncology were in one building. So I was very fortunate to work there. But in the 80s, there was the surgical oncology specialty had not evolved. So we as general surgeons were looking after all cancer patients and we are doing all types of cancer surgery. So in that particular department, I had a colleague, Dr. Snehalata. Many of you might know her and the seniors might know her as Dr. Nanjunrao's daughter. All of you might remember Professor Nanjun Rao. He was professor of surgery in Madras Medical for many years. We were the only two surgeons in that department, and we had only an in-charge chief. So more or less, we were totally looking after the entire department. We had only 20 beds, remember, 10 for male, 10 for female. And these beds were supposed to be reserved for people whom we can operate on. Okay, but what was it seen there? Every day we had outpatient, we would see about 40 to 50 patients. And if I saw 50 patients, 48 of them were in the very advanced stage. We could hardly pick up one or two which were operable. They were all in the clinically advanced stage for which we could not offer surgery or for that matter, any other modality of treatment. So what do? But they were in such pain. The suffering was so much. You could see them sitting in front of us, crying, rolling on the floor. And it just shook us up. And all that they wanted was admission. They wanted admission. So what could we do? We were used to, it's a tare case. We used to admit them. We didn't have beds. But we used to admit them and they used to lie down on the floor. They could get a mat, the sisters could give them a mat, and if somebody was lucky, they could get a pillow also. So as far as possible, when we had 20 beds, there were always around 50, 60 patients in our ward. So you can imagine when we're doing rounds, we had to squat on the ground, squat on the floor, and examine the patient. They were too sick to even get up on the couch. We have to examine and we have to jump over one patient to see the next. This was our situation at that time. Things have changed considerably now. It's not the thing, but people who have worked at that time will remember those days. And we were so disturbed, to be honest. It was extreme frustration. We were very young, we were very enthusiastic, and I thought, and our focus was only on surgery. Okay, and we thought we were trained to look after patients. But here, what we were seeing, it's only a minuscule of patients we could cure because And because we have been taught only to look after the disease, cure the disease, not to look after the patient as a whole. But they were suffering all around us. What do we do? And they said, what are we doing there? We are supposed to be helping all these patients, right? And we had nothing in our hands to help these patients. They were suffering, they were in pain. And I mean, you can imagine, all of you are doctors, and you can imagine the trauma that we as young surgeons went through. Just to explain one situation, Visalakshi, she was with us for 3 months actually with a unknown primary multiple mets in the liver. We couldn't offer anything for her. And then every time we wanted to discharge her, she would cry and say, see, I don't have anybody, I don't have any place to go. But then one day we got a memo from our RMO saying, you are keeping the patient for too long. You have to discharge all of them after 2 or 3 weeks. So we had no choice, we discharged her. Then we both discussed and said, and I said, okay, I'm sure she's lying. I'm sure there must be some place where she can go. But to our horror, when we discharged her, and the next day when we came back, we saw her lying on the gates of Roypeta Hospital. She's been lying there since the time she was discharged the previous day without food, water, anything at all. It shook us up, and to say the least, so Sneha and I brought her inside, readmitted, where she died later. So if there is one Visalakshi like this, there were thousands of Visalakshis outside, Ramasamis, Munusamis, name anybody, anything, anybody, they were all there with a name, but no address. People used to bring them, relatives used to bring them, admit them. But when we had to discharge them, or even when they died, when tried to contact their families, the address was a false address. So it was a no-win situation always. And at that time, we decided, no, this has to change. We cannot go on with this forever and take this so much of trauma in us. And then that is the time when Sneha and I, luckily both of us were in the same plane and we're thinking on the same lines. And we thought these are the people who need special attention, actually they need a special place to live in, because many of them didn't have a place to go. And look at what pain relief we were giving. Do you remember the good old APC? That was the only thing we had. And it has to be given only for 2 days. The paracetamol was a costly drug at that time. So can you imagine, with your present knowledge, can you imagine what their patients would have gone through? They were there. If you give patient APC for 2 days, they would have swallowed it in 1 day and come the next day for the same APC. So situation was very bad. And then this is the basis for which we thought these people need a special care. And we started looking out. We actually tried to help some patients by putting them in old age homes. Julian was one. But like a bad penny, he came back because the that old home, which we got by hook and crook and influence and cajoling, they had to send him out because the other inmates started objecting because he had a very foul smelling tumor of his face. So that is the time when we thought we needed a place. We started looking out places where we could do it on our own. To Sneha's credit, she actually took us to an old building belonging to her father, which the lease was expiring. So see if you could start something there. To be honest, at that point of time, let me tell you, we did not know the word palliative care or even hospice. Hospice, we have never heard of that word. See, those were 80s. We had only Doordarshan, no cell phones. So our communication with the outside world was very, very limited. So at that time, we did not even know that we were reinventing the wheel. Okay. This was something we thought we have to do. What we're doing was something new, but later it turned out that it was well established in the other parts of the world. So it was at this particular time, and when we were at this crossroads, something happened, something very things. It was I think it was Paul Coelho, who said when you want something very intensely, you want to do something, the universe conspires to make it happen. Because otherwise, why would the sisters, FCC sisters from Kerala, come to come to Chennai at that time, and they wanted to do some humanitarian project here. And they were introduced to one Dr. Udaya Mahadevan, who's the social work professor in Loyola College. And why would Udaya Mahadevan be my family friend? Okay. She happened to be my family friend, and my sister-in-law, who's an anesthetist working with us and who knew what we were looking for, just through her husband, who was Udaya's classmate, told her, yeah, these people are the one who's wanting to start such a project. And 1+1, Udaya got in touch with both the parties. And we had the first meeting somewhere in November, December of 1989. And I think that was the shortest meeting possible. Udaya, just the three of us, me on one side, Udaya in the center, and the sisters on the other side, with Sister Lalita leading the team of the FCC sisters. Udaya just introduced the project to us. And there was just a pause before everyone said yes. That's it. There was no looking back, no ifs, no buts, no discussion, nothing whatsoever. Yes, we decided, yes, we're going to do it. And we started it. And to our luck, we had Sister Lalita on the FCC side, who's simply dynamite. She's dynamite. She says, you say yes today, it is done tomorrow. So she started to work on the hospice. They had a piece of land. Okay, they had a piece of land in Madhavaram. And they did get in the seed money to start something. But then we had to raise the money, entire money for the projects, for having the building done there, and then starting. So that is how it started. This was registered in 1990. It took 5 years for us to actually get the building going. But in this 5 years, we did what we could. See, for my particular passion, apart from looking after the terminally ill patients, was preventive oncology. I thought, if you catch them at the early stages, if you can cure them, if you can do something for them, we could prevent them from coming into this stage. So I was very passionate about screening them to catch cancer at an early stage, early detection of cancer. So creating awareness. There's a lot of stigma around cancer. Oh, this is somebody's curse. This was God's punishment for what they have done, and they are evil people. Something like leprosy, how leprosy people were treated. We wanted to dispel that stigma and create awareness among the public, and to see that these people were not abandoned or shunted away from their homes. So we did that for the next, very sincerely for the next five years. Up to 95 till we started, we were doing it, and we continue to do it even till today. And then we did a little bit of home visits. We used to visit people at homes who are bedridden patients. And there the story starts. Maybe the rest of the story I can share with you on the screen, a little bit in pictures, so that you'll understand what we actually do. Oh, thank you very much for that. Yes, and welcome to Jeevodaya. Jeevodaya is the hospice of Chennai, and it was situated in the sylvan, very, very serene surroundings, somewhere in Madhavaram, in the outskirts of Chennai, and a beautifully maintained garden by the sisters. Jeevodaya was the first hospice to be established in South India, and the second of its kind in India. First one, of course, is Shanti Avedana in Bombay, and promoted by the Franciscan Claris congregation. But it is the public who just built it and is running it even to this day. Yes, Jeevodaya is an institution which renders palliative care free of cost for all patients, irrespective of their social status, rich, poor, whatever. It's a free service. If you see this slide, you can read the motto. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life aching, I shall not live in vain. So it was not quantity that we're looking after. Even one patient, if we could make a difference to their life, we thought we have done something. And you just look at our motto, I mean, at our logo. You see a flickering end of life candle representing end of life, and you see two hands supporting them. And if you watch carefully, it's not the hands of a single person, it's the hands of two different people who are supporting it. Means that not just one person, it's the duty of every individual to support this cause. Next. This is a more recent picture of the staff of Geodia with all the sisters who are nurses. Yes, it's a 50 bedded inpatient unit. Okay. And all the doctors and nurses are all trained in palliative care. You have round the clock nursing care and all other needs that are. But the important thing is all the needs of the patients, whether it is medicine or food or clothes or whatever, everything is given free of cost to these patients. And our only aim being that we did not want a hospital type of setting. We wanted it to be a home away from home for all our patients. We have ambulance services. And as I said, we were looking after destitute patients, people who did not have anywhere to go. These patients, when they died, we undertook the responsibility of doing even the last rites in accordance with their religion of that person. Yes. Just in case there are people who have not seen this, maybe from the West, they might not have seen. These are the type of patients we got. Extremely disturbing. These are all real patients from our hospice. We have wards. Each ward consists of 4 patients, 4 beds, but they're open. They have company. But if we want privacy, we use the curtains. And we followed the principle of the Children's Hospital in Chennai. There are no special wards. All children are equal. Same thing at the end of life, we wanted to use the same principle. There's nothing special about any human being. All are equal. So there you'll never not find special wards in Geo. They are all are in the same wards. And here you have the doctors. We have trained doctors, experienced doctors, and youngsters who are coming for training, looking after our patients. This I'm specially showing. If you can concentrate, you see the morphine tablets, they're being distributed. You know, if you are using instant relief morphine every 4 hours, that has become, and so they meticulously, the sisters will be distributing the medicines. Can I have the next one? Morphine, it was a big challenge for us because when we started off, morphine comes under narcotics drug, and there was a scheduled drug, and we had so much problem, so much in getting this. We had to get about 3 licenses before we could get it. And before we got the 3rd license, the 1st license would expire. So we had a huge uphill task. But with all that, we managed it. And I am proud to tell that Jivodi is the first institution in Tamil Nadu that got the license to procure, store, and distribute. But things have changed. We have been part of the Indian Association of Palliative Care. We have fought, and then from a state subject, now it has become a central subject, and then there are uniform laws for oral morphine. I'm talking about oral morphine. Yes, we all know that oral morphine is the gold standard for cancer pain management. And then now it has been a little regulated. Things are better, but things can be even better. And you all know that the backbone of a hospice are the nurses. Round the clock nursing care, feeding them, dressing their wounds, and looking after their every single need. Dressing of the wounds, you have seen the wounds. Such type of wounds, they come with maggots. They are foul smelling. They come with maggots, and they have to be. These wounds have to be dressed so often, at least 5 to 6 times a day. But you will never see a sister even raise an eyebrow about that. They will happily do it, very smilingly do it. And you cannot find. I am in awe of my own sisters, the sisters there who are so dedicated, and they are there for the patients 24/7, every second, every minute of the day. Yes, all food. People have some are on tube feeding, some need special type of food. Everything is catered to the need of that particular patient. Yes, next. This is something special I wanted to show you because the bandages, see, some things are very expensive. Bandages, gauze, everything. If you have to buy from commercial things, it's very expensive. Here you see a sister actually preparing a bandage from saris, old saris. We collect cotton saris from donors, and then we cut them into bits and then add cotton. See her putting cotton inside and cutting it into different shapes and sizes and pieces for use. We cut down on cost. We have improvised so much. Our sister was Kesilda, who was there, was improvised so much. And I'm proud to say that many other hospices in India follow the same principle of cutting this, autoclaving it and using as bandages. Yes. Yes, we make them feel at home as much as possible. We provide whatever entertainment that they want to do. And here you see them playing caroms and watching TV. Yes.
Many more.
And we encourage them to do whatever they are good at. Here, Parvati Amma is showing the bags that she has won. And this young lady, you won't believe that she's a paraplegic. Okay, she came completely bedridden, but then right now you could see that she's actually sitting up, and then she's completed the mattress which she was pulled while she was lying down. Okay, and you can see this smile on her face, not mine, hers. We celebrate, we have all sorts of celebrations. We have, you see them, all Indian celebrations are done. So you have Diwali's, Christmas, Onam. You see one patient with a nasal tube acting as Mahabali on a Onam day. And then this is Ramzan time, and then they'll all patients will be eagerly waiting for biryani by Dr. Abdul Jabbar, who is our medical officer, in a few days. So it's a home. We want them to feel do not want them to miss the feel that they are not at home. Yes. We have an ambulance service to bring the patients, and when they die, you see the patient, the sisters are with the patient, they're not left alone. And if the family is there, we encourage the family. There are no visiting hours in Jivodaya. Families are allowed to come at any point of the day and keep them company. And then we had a huge problem at the beginning of our services when we needed to take them to the mortuary in either Kilpok or MMC and retrieve the bodies. So we have a mini mortuary here with 4 freezer boxes. Yes. So our duty is to encourage and empower. It will give them a quality of life so that they don't feel that they are dead even before they actually die. So our motto is live until you die. Everybody is going to die, but you don't have to die prematurely. Okay, in mind and body. And make sure that there's always a dignity in dying, and nobody goes screaming and pain or in agony. Yes, next. This is a famous saying by Sheila Cassidy. The dying know that we are not God. They don't expect you to make them completely all right, wave a magic hand and then make them sit up. No, they don't. All that they ask is to stay with them. Do not desert them when they need us most. Yes, next. Yes. Just a peek into the past. This is when we had the first foundation stone blessing on August 15, 1991. The foundation stone of Jivodaya is blessed by, you have this is an iconic event, I should say, when we had the leaders of all the religions sitting on the same stage, and each one came and said their own prayers to bless them. Yes. And here you see, many of you will recognize Professor Nanjundrao lighting the Kuttu Vilakku to start a hospice. Next. And this needs mention. This is Sister Lalita, which you must know. She's the secretary of Jivodaya, and she's the pillar on which Jivodaya stands. I won't hesitate to say that. And the man sitting next to her needs mention because he is Professor Mohammed Harris. He was the dean of the School of Architecture in Chennai, AC College Technical. And what we did, Lalta sister, myself, Sneha, and Udaya, we get crashed into his office and said, "Sir, we need help. We are going to build a hospice and we want you to design it for us." He was stunned, but he said yes. He said yes. So he took it as a challenge, as a project of the college, and then he not only gave us the design free, but he also sent his professors to supervise the entire building. Such a great man. We owe a lot to him. And then he was our first donor when the hospice was completed in 95. Yes. Even while we are building, doing the foundation stone, WHO had started concentrating on the what we call developing countries at that time to propagate palliative care. Okay, and India was a main target for them. So here you'll see on top Dr. Robert Pycross and Miss Lily Byrne, who had come down all the way and they were touring different parts of India to spread the awareness about palliative care. And I happened to meet them in Bangalore and invited them over to Chennai. They were so surprised that some work has already started in Chennai when other people were not even aware of what was hospice or palliative care. And so we had the first workshop in Chennai in 1994, I think. Yes, next. Next. Yes, here are the participants. And on the top row, the boys you see are my postgraduates from MMC. They were such gems, I tell you. They along with me, they put in their whole efforts. So the entire unit of postgraduates and house surgeons, they used to help me out. Actually, sometimes when I was not in a position to go and do rounds, these boys would do rounds for us. So I was very, very lucky to be in MMC and to be able to spread this message to all the medical doctors. Yes. And this was another turning point for us. After this workshop, both Jilly and Dr. Robert Wycross were very, I must think that they were taken up with our efforts. So they insisted that Dr. Manjula and Sister Casilda, the nursing superintendent, should attend the 8-week course sponsored by the WHO in UK. So we were selected in 1994, both of us as a team from Geriatric, we went to UK for a 8-week training. And Dr. Robert Wycross, if some of you are very proficient in palliative care, will remember Dr. Robert Wycross as one of the big names in palliative care, who has written several books and even from the Oxford textbook of palliative care. You see him there. Yes, so we were there in 8 weeks. We were there in UK. Yes. Next. And we were also lucky to be posted as a pair in the hospices in UK. And Sister Casilda, you see Sister Casilda and myself, we were there in Grovecroft Hospice in Turkey. This is somewhere in Devon, one of the most picturesque and most beautiful places I've ever seen. And Dr. Richard Skeffer was a real gentleman. We loved our postings there. Both of us, we learned a lot from them, which we tried to replicate in Jivodaya also. Yes. Next. And these were the nursing staff who were with us to show us every small detail of the care. Yes. And this is also a very, very important picture because in 1995, the hospice was inaugurated by the Vice Chancellor of the Medical University, Dr. B.P. Rajan. And here you see Dr. Snehalata, my friend, Dr. Snehalata. And behind her is her father, Dr. Nanjun Rao, who by that time we had requested him to be our president of Chivotia, because since Sneha and I, we were in government service, we were not sure whether we could accept any official post. So we had requested Dr. Nanjan Rao to be our president, and he gladly accepted because he was a philanthropist and he had done so much as medical camps for the public. Here you see both of them there, father and daughter. Unfortunately, both of them are not with us today. Yes, thank you. Next. And then we continue with our mission of creating awareness and pre-education from here. You see, I enjoyed interacting with all these children in all the schools, and we target the corporation schools because they come up from the lower economic status and where the use of tobacco is very high in the among their parents and siblings. So we target them, and they are so very intelligent, and the questions that they ask, you will not imagine. Their level of knowledge is so high, and invariably at the end of every session, I'll at least two or three children will come and ask me, oh, my father is a continuous smoker and he chews gudka and Hans, what should I do? How do I make him stop? So that was how we were created thing. And below you will see Dr. Ponni, she's our joint medical director. She took over where Sneha left. After Sneha left, she's become the joint medical director, and we go for screening camps for early detection of cancers. As I said you, the three common cancers that we have here: oral cancer, breast cancer, and cervical cancers. For cervical, we do take pap smears and send it. And we had Kilpock Medical College and MMC pathology department doing free service and start reading the slides for us. Yes. Yes. And we have established a permanent exhibition in Jivodaya for the students when they come to here. You see a beautiful big cigarette, the thing with all the, and what are the ill effects of a cigarette. And those who are from Chennai will understand if I tell them that it was created by one of the biggest art directors of in India, Tota Dharani. It was done by him. And you have CC, that man has become a skeleton after eating gudka. Okay. And then we have this is a view of our exhibition hall. Next. Yes, we have home care training for the girls who are past 12th standard. They come here for 6 months training. We train them enough, give them practical training. So at the end of the day, they are eligible to go out and do home care for patients who are bedridden patients at home, or they get absorbed by institutions. Next. And we do a limited home care also, where patients for reasons that they cannot come to the hospice, we go there out and look after them. Yes, next. And education is also one of our big handles, because we do we are associated with Indian Association of Palliative Care, and we conduct certificate courses in essentials of palliative care for both doctors and nurses. It's conducted twice a year, and we have been doing it continuously since 2007. Okay, and Jivodaya is a regional center for palliative training in Tamil Nadu. It's only COVID has put the brakes for the last 2 years. We hope to start in person sometime as soon as possible. Next. Yes, these are the doctors who are who come for training, and you'll be very surprised that the first few sessions, we had professors and oncologists, senior people who came to us for training, and then they have been continuously. And MMC, I'm very proud, because the MMC radiation oncology department, they still send all their students as sort of routine to get trained in palliative care in Jivodaya. Next. Yes, we have a community clinic in Jivodaya to cater to the needs of the local public, so that we give them medicines, the common medicines, and we also have a small clinical lab. Yes. And we also have a peripheral center, or a city center, we call, for people who do not want to get admitted, or there's no need for them to get admitted. They can stay at home and still come to our clinic for medicines and for checkup. So this is, you see, Dr. Rajaram, a surgical oncologist, inaugurating the peripheral center. Yes, which is in the heart of the city. Yes, next. And funnily, this was a gift by my family. They presented us with a cake. And here you see Sister Lalita, myself, and Dr. Udaya Mahadevan. Three of us who are considered to be founder members of the cutting a cake on the inauguration of a peripheral clinic. Yes. And this was the silver jubilee that we celebrated in 2017 after 25 years. And the highlight of this program was that we invited everybody who was in the audience who was connected in one way or the other with Jyotia to come on to share the dais, share the stage with all of us. Next. Here you'll see a familiar face. So when I started this, I had the full support of my entire family, and there's nobody that's excluded. I wouldn't have done this if I had not got the support of my entire family, both on my husband's side and my mother's side. But the reason why this particular person, my sister, Dr. Sharmila, is here is because she was the first MMCN to come into a fold of Jyotia. She's the first person to support from MMC. And that's why you see she has conducted. When I was there in 92 and 94, when the foundation was still happening, she organized dinner meets to raise funds for thing, and they sponsor a particular ward at that time. That's why it's called the Lowestoft ward, after her friends from Lowestoft who had donated for this. Next. And my classmates, I cannot leave my classmates, my 1968 to 74 batch, when we had a golden jubilee year, and then they surprised me with a flash program of auctioning something and raising funds for us. Here you find our friends handing over the check to our sisters, and here in the other photo you see that one of my friends donated a projector which I'm handing over to the sisters. Yes. Next. And this is a latest thing. You see your very own Dr. Badrinath sitting here, who came to us recently and spent some time with us and gave a generous donation on your behalf. Thank you very much, sir. And next. And this is even more recent. Sometime last week, when two of my friends, and Dr. Ramprasad here is from US, he had heard, why he is here is because he had heard about Jyotia from your organization, from your Red Fort organization. And so when he was holidaying in Chennai, he wanted to visit us, and he brought Dr. Ranjan along with us, with him to visit us. Yes. Because I have shown some donors, it does not mean that I am overlooking the not just hundreds, thousands of people who have walked into our life of Jyotia and contributed, not just in cash or kind, contributed their immense, something very valuable, their time to spend time with their patients to look after them. A very big thank you to all of you. We are there here now because of all of you. Thank you very much. Yes, next. And this is the future. This is Ashirwad Bhavan, which is the rural project of Jyotia, which is in Gumudi, about 60 kilometers from Jyotia, where it's been there for 5 years. We found out that there are about 15 to 16 villages around this place which had absolutely no medical infrastructure or help. So we decided that we'll start a clinic, a community clinic for them. And then to support that clinic, we have established a very modern clinical lab, okay, biochemical and a clinical pathology lab. Because before that, these people had to travel 60 kilometers to Chennai to get even a blood test done. So this is already happening. This is already in place. But what is our next one? Yes, the next one that you see is that we are going to start a geriatric palliative care unit in this place. See, next to cancer, the biggest population that's suffering now is the geriatric population, because the age of a person who lives is considerably increased, and with it come all problems. Yes, you see that it's when old age homes and senior citizens homes are mushrooming all over. But what happens when these people fall sick or very ill, they are not looked after. And then there have been very many requests for us to take in these patients, but and we could not, because ours was a registered cancer hospice. But now to change that, we're building a new Hospice for geriatric care. Yes, next. This is the level that what is happening in that place just 2 days back. It's the most recent thing. We hope to be get up and get going by next year. Yes, next. So as a passing shot, I would welcome all of you out there who, if ever you come down to Chennai in the next 2 months, then a good time to come, because you see all our mango trees laden with mangoes. Next. Yeah, just like my friends here from MMC, look at them. You can just stand and just pluck the mangoes from our trees. You're most welcome. Next. My talk will not be complete if I don't pay homage to these 4 people who have been 4 pillars of strength for us. Dr. Snehalata, my very, very, very dear and very close friend. Though we lost her in 2003, I still miss her. I miss you, Sneha. And her father, Dr. Nanjan Rao, who was our president. And what shall I say about Dr. Udaya Mahadevan? She left us about 3 years back. She was the mainstay of starting Jivodaya. She, hats off to her. Because of her, we are here. And Dr. Shanta, she has been a good advisor, and she's been a supporter of Jivodaya right from day one. And the last appearance she made for Jivodaya was when she came as the chief guest for our Silver Jubilee celebrations. Yes, next. Here, I've given you the details of Jivodaya. All that you have to remember is we have a website. It's jivodaya.in. So if you go into the website, you will have all the details, including my personal numbers, my personal website, email IDs. So you please feel free to call me or talk to me whenever you need something from us, or whenever you want to get in contact with us for any reason. Yes, next. Yes, when we say thank you, we always think that God is somewhere out there blessing all of us, not just Jivodaya, all of you, because you are part of Jivodaya, and we are all belong to Jivodaya family. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.